Good evening, folks. It's Harry Swaminathan, and it's June 5th. Today is Wednesday, June 5th. It's about 7:05 p.m. And I was looking at the S&P charts, and because we've had a few down days, so I was looking at the charts, and something interesting just popped out. So I thought I'll make a video because this is something that many people don't consider, but it can act as a very good technical pattern, and that is the power of trend line. So what we have here is the S&P. It's got a this is a 15-day chart and it's a 30-minute chart. So basically what we wanted to do was look at the price action of this last couple of weeks, and we see that the high was hit at 1687 sometime last week, last Wednesday actually. And from then, the market has been coming down. Up until then, it's been a real solid climb, for the past 6 months, for almost all of the year. So now, if you look at what's happening just in the recent past, and I drew a trend line here, and you can see that every time there's been a down move, it's come back and hit the trend line and turned back. It's hit the trend line, turned back. And here, it doesn't hit the trend line, but it turned back before that. So what this is telling us, very often we study support and resistance, and many times we look at support and resistance in a horizontal plane. So, this could be a resistance point, this could be a support point, this could be a resistance point, but we always look at it in the horizontal plane, and many times we don't, or we don't tend to do the kind of analysis like trend line analysis. And in this case, we can clearly see that this trend line is acting as a resistance to this particular move in the last 2 weeks. So every time it hits the trend line, it turns back. And in this case, it doesn't even hit the trend line, it turns back before that. And the power of trend lines is just like any other technical pattern. When people see once these two points were connected, then the more number of points that get connected to the same trend line gives more strength to the trend line. So in this case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and almost 5. This is like a half, 4.5, because this is as good as a as a touch point. It's not obviously a perfectly touching point, but it's a good enough point because it sort of turned back before then itself. So what does this tell us? Basically, what we can learn from here is that, one, you can extend this trend line into the future, and what might happen should the S&P turn back. Now, it's possible that it's going to turn back because you can see that at least, today was a down day, so all of this is today's action, and that is clearly a down day, but you can see the low was reached not in the final, final hour. The low was reached about 1 hour before that. In fact, this was at 13:30, 1:30 in the afternoon. So, if there is a bounce, what can we expect that bounce to be? So, and that's where the trend line becomes useful. So, if you extend the trend line into the future, I would say that the trend line is probably going to hit somewhere at the 1630 level. So if we get a bounce from here up to the 1630 level, we can expect it to come to the 1630 level. Now, it might turn back, or it might pierce through, or for that matter, this down move may not be done yet. We could still go further down. So we'll have to see. Obviously, this is, analysis, and nobody knows what the market's going to do tomorrow. And, so we'll have to wait and see. But this gives you some kind of a clue as to what to look for and see what kind of pattern might be developing, because a lot of technical analysts will be looking at the same thing. So if this does turn around and if we get a bounce, then it remains to be seen how that bounce reacts to the trend line, because if it breaks through the trend line, then we could see a very big bullish move up, because you can see that it's tried to do that 3 or 4 times and it's failed. So the moment it breaks through, everybody else who's also looking at the same trend line is going to jump into the fray. So, the move is going to have strength behind it. It's going to have momentum. It's going to have money flow coming in. And, you're going to see a pretty bullish move happening. So, that's what we have to look for. And if it does cross the 1630 level, then that's exactly what we are looking at. So anyway, I thought, many times we don't analyze trend lines, but they can be powerful technical indicators. And in this case, we can see that at least in the last 15 days, 10 days, that this trend line is working very well for the S&P. So this is something you can watch out for. I'll speak to you guys tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye-bye.